Oke, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In here I will be sharing with you about introduction to linguistics, the semantics. Before I sharing with you, let me introduce myself. My name is Suryo Dewantoro Joyodiningrat from Pendidikan Bahasa Inggris Studi Program regular pagi kelas. Okay, let's check it out. What is semantic? Semantic is the study of meaning that is used to understand human expression through language. Explanation: 1. Denotation and connotation. 2. Primary and secondary. And 3. Literal and figurative. Semantic is perhaps the most difficult part of language to learn. The reason is because basically meaning in a language are indefinite or undetermined. Remember that language is arbitrary. One of the characteristics of language. It is arbitrary because the relationship between forms and their meanings are sometimes cannot logically proved. Okay, the next is, although a form can have more than meaning, there is always a primary or original meaning that express the original meaning of a form in a language is normally called denotation. With respect to words, lexical terms, the primary or original meaning is the meaning that we can find in a dictionary. For example, is rose, a garden plant with thorns on its stem and pleasant smelling flowers, or a flower from these plants. Besides, there are additional meaning which is known as connotation. With respect to words, connotation or additional meanings of a word are not listed in a dictionary. Normally, a person expresses a connotative meaning through a word, phrase, clause, or sentences based on certain characteristics of the entity or even that he or she is referring to. For example, one may call a beautiful girl a rose or a lily. Okay, in this slide is denotation and connotation. Definition: the denotation of a word is the core, central, or referential meaning of the word found in a dictionary. In English, content word may have its denotation described in terms of a set of semantic features that serve to identify the particular concept associated with the word. The connotation of a word is the additional meaning that the word has beyond its denotative meaning. It houses people's emotions and or attitudes towards what the word refers to. For example, 1, child is denotatively described as human, mature, and male. Under a certain circumstance, child may positively be connoted as affectionate or innocent. Under another circumstance, child may negatively be connoted as noisy or irritating. For example, 2, woman is denotatively described as human, mature, and female. Under a certain circumstance, woman may positively be connoted as devout or patient. Under another circumstance, woman may negatively be connoted as weak or talkative. The denotation of a word can easily be found in a dictionary while its connotations may probably depend on such factors as the culture in which the word is used, the language user's family and or educational background, the language user's social and or political class, the language user's speech community and or ethnic group, and etc. In brief, these factors are by virtue of person and cultural association. Jadi penjelasan sedikit aja ya. Jadi ada contoh di mana ada bahasa positif, negatif di dalam denotation ini. Oke, kita lanjut. Distinction between denotation and connotation considers the following table and identify denotation and connotation via their main features. In denotation, what a lexical item means. In the connotation, emotions and or attitudes towards what a lexical item refers to. In denotation, core and central. In connotation, peripheral. In denotation, referential, and in connotation is social or affective. Okay, next for example is the bachelor. The denotation is unmarried man unmarried man, and in connotation is still single after usual age for marrying, decided by himself to stay single, enjoying freedom, friendship, life, and etc. And the last one is ready for his impending marriage. Jadi itu ya, ada perbedaan di denotasi dan konotasi. Yang selanjutnya ada spinters. In denotation is unmarried woman. In connotation is still single after usual age for marrying, decided by herself to stay single, left in an unfavorable state. And the last one is a symbol for some failure in life. And the last example is December. In the notation, the 12th month of the year, next after November. In connotation is a bad weather, usually rainy or snowy, dark evening, gray sky, slippery streets, holiday season, Christmas, winter break, lonely lines, separation from the beloved. In example 1, the word fox almost always has negative connotation in English when it is associated with any person who is cunning or deceitful. In example 2, some English words usually have positive connotation, plus other usually have natural connotation, still other usually have negative connotation. In positive is mother or mom, in neutral is woman, in the negative is witch. In father is the positive, a man is neutral, and old man is negative, slender is positive, thin is neutral, and skinny is negative, plump is positive, overweight is neutral, and fat is negative. For example 3, synonyms. Words that have the same basic meaning do not always have the same emotional meaning. For example, the words stingy and frugal both mean careful with money. However, to call a person stingy is an insult, while the word frugal has a much more positive connotation. Similarly, a person wants to be slender but not skinny, and aggressive but not pushy. Therefore, you should be careful in choosing words because many so-called synonyms are not really synonyms at all. Nah, jadi kita harus hati-hati nih dalam penggunaan bahasa, khususnya sinonim dalam bahasa Inggris nih, karena ada juga kata-kata yang positif, neutral, dan negatif. Nah, di sini kita membaginya nih, jangan sampai kita menggunakan kata-kata negatif mentang-mentang itu sinonim dari kata sebelumnya gitu. Itu hati-hati ya kalau dalam bahasa Inggris. Next, multiple sense of lexical items. Primary meaning versus secondary meaning. Primary meaning, the primary meaning of a word, or to be more specific, a lexical item is the first meaning or usage that the word will suggest to most people when it is said in isolation. Example, wing. The primary meaning is either of the pair of feather limbs that a bird used to fly. The second meaning is secondary meaning of a word are the meaning besides its primary meaning. They are said to be not central but peripheral. In addition, secondary meaning of a word are context bound, whereas its primary meaning is not. For example, he usually plays on the wing. Wing means side part of the playing area in football, hockey, and etc. Secondary meaning is derived from the context denoted by the verb play. And now it's a literal meaning versus figurative meaning. Literal meaning, the basic or usual meaning of a word is the usually referred to as its literal meaning. For example, is wing again, part that projects from the side of an aircraft and supports it in the air. The two wings of an airplane. The number 2 is part of a building that projects from the main part, the east or west wing of a house. The number 3 is projecting part of the body of a motor vehicle above the wheel. The left wing of his car was damaged in the collision. And number 4 is part of a political party that holds certain view or has a particular function. The radical wing of the Labour Party. Figurative meaning. The figural meaning of a word is one which is different from its usual or literally meaning and which create vivid mental image to readers or listeners. For example, wings. We hope college life will help him to spread his wings a bit, extend his activities and interests. And number 2 is having a new baby to look after has clipped her wings a bit, has prevented her from achieving her ambition. And number 3 is she immediately took the new arrivals under her wing, look after the new arrivals. And number 4 is he retires a chairman next year. His successor is waiting in the wings, is already to replace him. Jadi itu ada kata-kata bermakna lain ya, yang kata kuncinya itu adalah misalkan sayap tadi atau wings itu banyak makna-makna yang terselubung gitu ya, kita tidak bisa mengartikannya mentah-mentah oh itu sayap, bukan. Jadi ada di figurative meaning dan di literal meaning. Wing is an English word that has several closely related but slightly different meanings. It is said to be polysemous, word having many meanings. Okay, thank you. Enough for this video. If you do any question, just ask me in email and or in WhatsApp. Thank you for Mr. Franz in semester 1. Thank you for your watching too. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.